Yeah, that's. I mean, well, no,
Save it for the
that's,
show.
that's obviously what we're going to be like. Yeah, save that gold for the show. No, but I mean, that's the thing, though. I mean, do you want it? I mean, I want all of that stuff. You know, any new tech thing, I'm like, yeah, I want it. I'll take it. Am I going to pay for it? No.
If you'll give it to me, I'll
Yeah, if you'll give it to me, absolutely. Anybody can send me anything they want. I'll take it.
That's a good thing. We get to test this stuff and decide if we like it or not. And
Yeah, so just send us everything. I think that's what the final cue is there. All right, we're live. Hello, this is Trends with Benefits. This is our weekly Roundtable Tech podcast here at Digital Trends, where we talk about the trending tech topics of the day. In addition to being a podcast, we're, of course, broadcasting live on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, and Periscope on Twitter. So because of that, we want to hear your comments, your questions, your opinions throughout the show as we go through. There's already a question about cheese that has come through that just popped up. I had to look at that. We won't be talking about cheese today, but
why not?
Well, okay, maybe we will. You never know. You know, if it's the trending topic, maybe we'll bring up cheese today. But we will for sure be talking about flying cars, because there's actually this week there's just a ton of flying car news that has come out, including the possibility you may be able to get one next year. We're going to talk about an AI game that takes VR and makes it scarier. If you're not scared enough, it will up the ante. So we'll talk about that. We've got Google's Fine, and we have this. The big news today, anyway, that we're going to be talking about, it is Samsung's foldable phone, the Samsung Galaxy X, Galaxy 10. I'm going to say Galaxy X because I don't want to do the Samsung or the iPhone Galaxy 10 thing. But the rumors that are coming out now from the Wall Street Journal, even reporting about the foldable phone that they've been talking about for years, we may finally get. And that's what our question is. When this comes out, do you want it, and how much would you be willing to pay for it? So that's going to be kind of our opening topic that we're talking about. But let's introduce our cast of characters. I'm Greg Nibler, and to my right, it is
Juliana, still no nickname.
Still no nickname. She is very upset about not having a nickname. So I want to put this dangerously, put this out there to the viewers. If you have a nickname for Juliana that you would like to use,
I think Drew could come up with something.
You think Drew?
Really
okay,
fun.
I think we're reversing that, not putting it out to the viewers. We'll put it on Drew.
I can see you doing that.
All right, so we do have that. So Juliana, we'll see if we can get you a nickname by the end of the show. And on the end,
Drew Prindle. I probably had a nickname, but I've forgotten it by this point.
I think, you did at one point, but I don't remember. I know, we have the Whiskey Mist, obviously a regular character here. We've got a Hot Nozzle. And then we have Ryan Juanita, a.k.a. Pornhub 27. So we've got some different ones that have come out, but we'll see if we can get any more from this show. All right, so I do see some comments and questions coming through, so we're going to get to all of those. But would you be willing to buy this phone? And what would you be willing to pay for it? And that's where it's at. And so let's talk about what the rumors are that have come out now. And this is pretty solid stuff, because we have one coming from the Wall Street Journal with a report that came out with some different patent images that we've got. So if you're watching live, we'll go ahead and throw those up there. And this is kind of taking a look at what they've discovered as far as what this possible Samsung Galaxy X foldable phone would be like. And so one of them details where it would be two 3.5-inch screens on one side. It would fold in half, and then there would be a little bar on the bottom that would still light up. So when it's folded, almost like a billfold, like you would fold it in half, and then a little bit at the very bottom would stick out. You would be able to use that tiny screen as you fold the phone and put it in your pocket. Other than that, I don't really understand the function, but that's what it would do. So the screen would fold in half. That's one idea. The other one that we've seen involves three 3.5-inch OLED screens. So the front of the phone would fold in half, and when it's folded in half, there's another screen on the back that would light up, and that's what you would use. So that's where we're at. And I'll talk about the price here in a minute, because there is an estimated price from some other. These are all rumors, but the more and more it gets validated, I think the better. Juliana is already laughing. Juliana, what do you think about this foldable phone here?
I don't know. I mean, I think it's like a flip phone, a gigantic.
I was thinking
flip
the
phone.
exact same thing. So this to me seems like a gimmick, on the same level of back when flip phones were popular, and it was you had the Motorola Juke, and you had the one that I forget the names of them, but every phone had this weird flip out action, and it was totally it served no real purpose. It was just a cool way of opening your phone. This is that for the smartphone age. This is
Right.
like, it doesn't really do anything, but it's cool. It folds in half. Like, look at that. I got a bendy screen.
Right.
Like that. So, yeah, it's probably going to be popular just because,
I don't know. I feel like it's kind of dumb, to be honest. It's huge to begin with.
It's
huge.
7-inch screen. So at least from all the reports, it'll probably be a 7-inch screen. That's diagonally
7-inch,
across.
when it's open, right?
When it's open. Yeah.
So it's like a tablet.
Yeah, I mean that's a pretty big phone.
And then it won't fit in your pocket, and then
that's why you fold it in half, though.
It just like I think
you probably
it's
have
gonna
to
break.
unfold it to fit it in your pocket.
Yes,
slimmer.
Oh yeah, that's true
It's gonna break because there's a space between like the two sides, like kind of like the Surface one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it shouldn't break. It should actually just, in theory, if you're going to pay this much. And that's one of the other things, I guess. I'll say what the price is. And as we're asking people, would you be willing to buy this? Do you want one? I mean, for me, even like what I said in the beginning, yeah, I'll take one. Sure, that's neat. What the function is, I don't know. I don't know if it really does a lot for me. I see Edward, the flip phone is back, baby. Seeing some other ones on a Periscope. Fits better in the pocket when folded. Yeah. I mean, that's true. Matthew, I love this channel. Thank you, Matthew. And then somebody's saying they know your nickname, but if they say it, then you won't talk to them anymore. So I don't know what that means.
I don't know.
All right, we'll just ignore that one. That was my problem putting it out there. So the price, though, the estimated price would be, I guess, in South Korea, if it came out there, what it would translate to is about $1,800 for U.S.
Way too much.
No.
U.S.
I think
$1,800
for the newest iPhone is ridiculous. I'm not going to pay $1,800 for a gimmicky foldy phone. I mean,
you and your foldy phone.
You can go straight to hell.
Get off my lawn. Well, I mean, that's the thing, though. I mean, I've been trying to think of what other uses this would have. I don't know. Other than just looking cool, and being a status symbol, where it would go. And that's the other part of this. And again, all rumors, but it's getting more and more closer to where I think that we are going to get something like this. If not at CES this year, maybe at Mobile World Congress. I think they're going to debut something. I would bet money on it. But what other uses does this have other than that? Other than just being a cool idea. Can it be translated into something else? Would you be willing to pay $1,800? Those of you watching for this, just to have it as a status symbol, or what would you think?
I feel like it could be a good taco holder if you you bent it not all the way closed, but just enough to cradle the shell. Then you wouldn't have to get your fingers dirty, and you could kind of use your phone.
That's why we need one of these to do those kinds of tests.
Yeah, okay. I think that would be that might be the killer app for this.
Hold your taco with your new phone.
The Samsung Taco.
That's a better name than X.
Yeah, I know the X part, and maybe they'll change that by the time it comes out, but that's been rumored for quite a while.
Yeah.
Which seems, there's got to be more names than X we can put in for your cool new product.
I think that's just a placeholder.
Yeah, you think they'll change it?
Yeah.
I don't know what they would call it. Vishnu says worst design, and again, these are speculated designs, so we don't know 100%. But that's what we've been hearing from Samsung forever, is that they were going to come up with a foldable phone. Steven says it's a hybrid between an iPhone and an iPad tablet, so it replaces the tablet, or between a phone and a tablet, so it replaces the tablet. So you have both in one. I guess I could kind of see that. If you can fold it up and put it in your pocket, and then open it up and still use a tablet. Maybe.
Sure.
Juliana, are you convinced?
Whatever floats your boat.
No. So it's a lot of no's in this room.
It's huge.
Is what I'm hearing.
It's huge. It's not going to be easy to carry.
Now, what if the price was $800? Would you rather have this over a regular phone if they were the same price?
No.
No, you'd still want a regular phone.
I would still want a regular phone.
Yeah, I think so.
Why is that?
I don't know. I just see no use for a ginormous. Like, how ridiculous would you look if you took your laptop almost and put it on your ear? That's huge to begin with. Probably some people could see a use of it, like if you just flip it and start typing with both hands with a ginormous keyboard, perhaps. I don't know, but it would be a tablet basically.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but you would also have the two screens. If you could fold it in half, you could have maybe one screen down here.
And you have the world's tiniest laptop.
The world's tiniest laptop. Yeah, basically that's
without physical keys, so you have to look at your fingers and make sure you're hitting the right thing.
I know. Yeah, my fingers are way too big for that.
This is going to be a train wreck when they release it. Mark my words.
Drew has declared train wreck. All right. Well, that's the newest news that we have here on that. So that's as far as the rumors. This is what was trending today, and we have a whole page dedicated to this, constantly updating it. And people, it doesn't matter if it's iPhone news or Samsung foldable phone news. People love this kind of stuff to talk about it. But it sounds like, for the most part, and looking at the chat and looking at the feedback that I've seen, nobody really wants it. Like, it's just like,
surprise.
Cool. Yeah, you've waited all this time and now we don't want it. Although, okay, here we go. Vivian, love it. So Vivian loves it. So Vivian would buy it. $1,800 buy it? I don't know. That's what we would have to do. All right, and we see some other people that do like the idea of a foldable phone. So maybe it'll find its market. No, Drew says no.
Not putting money on it.
I mean, I miss hanging up like. But I don't,
that's true. That's the appeal.
Instead of just
maybe
like
that's
violently
their marketing campaign.
Right.
Just like,
maybe that's where we're going with it. Okay.
That and tacos, of course.
Yes, tacos, and the foldable phone is back that you can slam shut when you're done with somebody. I said goodbye and then slam it shut.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we've solved that. So let's go on to the next thing. I want to get to the flying cars and talk about this because seriously, there's some pretty cool stuff that is coming out, whether we actually get it or not. Again, speculative, but we'll be talking about that here in a minute. I do have to bring up the Google fine, though. So in case you didn't know about this, I'm going to explain why it might matter to you. So Google is getting got a $5.1 billion fine from the European Union over Android. And what it really comes down to is, if anybody has an Android phone, when you turn it on, you have whoever the manufacturer's apps are, and you have Google's apps. They're just installed there already. You have Google Play and Chrome. I think there's 11 of them that it comes with. Well, the EU is saying phone makers shouldn't have to do that. So that's kind of where the fine comes. They're saying it's a violation of a bunch of different things, and that phone manufacturers shouldn't have to do it, and that if Google is saying if they don't do it, then they're not going to give out Android OS for free to phone makers, or that's how they make their money. So in the end, it could cost you a lot more if you don't have these apps. Does it matter to you that you have these apps on your phone? Are either of you Android users?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I prefer Android over iOS. But
does it matter to you if they're on there?
If there's bloatware?
Yeah, like the Google bloatware.
Not really, because I use most of it. I mean, if you're in the Android ecosystem, I feel like it makes more sense to use all of those. It's just like using Apple Maps and all of Apple's suite of apps that come preloaded and you can't delete from your phone.
Yeah.
There's no difference there. What I don't like is the ones that come from like the phone manufacturer itself, not like the OS developer from Samsung. All of their stupid apps that I have to deal with and can't get rid of. But really, like, I don't know. Most phones have enough space that it's like it doesn't really matter. You just hide them at the end of your app screen or whatever and just ignore them. It's not that big of a
right, or it's going to bother you that much.
Really not ruining my life.
I mean, there's some of it, that'll annoy me. Usually it's more the phone makers stuff that annoys me more than anything. Like, okay, I don't need all of this Samsung stuff or LG stuff. I mean, they all do it. Those are the ones that I end up trying to delete more than Google's actually, which I don't know if that's good or bad in the grand scheme of things. But right now, the EU is saying they have 90 days to come up with a solution, or they're going to get more fines on top of the $5 billion.
$5 billion is a huge number, man.
It's a huge number, although, and I think it's Alphabet that, the parent company that's actually getting it. There was, though, part of our article, it's about 2 weeks of income.
I was just going to say, like, how long is it going to take for them to recoup that? Okay,
2 weeks is $5 billion. Damn. So that, in the end...
Slap on the wrist.
Slap on the wrist, yeah. Although the threat of more fines, I think, is where it's at. So they're going to have to come up with something for it.
Although, to put that in perspective, like, that's, I get a paycheck every 2 weeks. If I just had a paycheck evaporate into thin air, just like, we're slapping you with a, whatever fine. Yeah. That'd suck. I'd be pissed.
That's true. I would be mad, too, although mine's not around $5 billion. So, maybe I could figure out a way to skate by if that was it. But, yeah, that's where it's at. I'm taking a look at some of the comments here. Vivian said, no, it does not matter. I don't use any of them other than Chrome and Play Store, so it doesn't really matter to you. Oh, Peter's going back to the foldable phone just really quick. He said Skype, heads-up display, one-to-one gaming. Yeah, okay. Yeah, maybe there's some different ways that you could utilize the foldable phone. And then on Periscope, reminds me of Microsoft getting in trouble for hard writing Internet Explorer into Windows. And yeah, I mean, I think this is a common thing, though, with manufacturers. They want to put their stuff in there.
Yeah.
You know? And Google does give away Android for free, essentially, the phone makers. This is how, at least, that's what they're saying.
Free in quotation marks. It's $0, I think, is a better way to describe it. You're still paying for it. You're just paying for it with all of your data and privacy and everything else.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's where it's at right now. Peter says, I'm sure, that's going back to the foldable phone. But yeah, just curious where that ends up. Probably they'll come up with some kind of solution. In worst case, this could end up, if it really backed up, Google's not going to pay that forever. If they have to pay, or if they have to charge phone manufacturers, it could come down to you paying more for your phone.
Yeah.
That's where it could end up.
For consumers.
Yeah, so it's worth monitoring and seeing where that goes. We have that at digitaltrends.com. You can keep track of all that.
That's at the end what made Android kind of like different, because you can have a big selection of phones.
And that's true
because of that.
Yeah, and it's open to all those different manufacturers versus iPhones. I'm not an iPhone user, but
you depend on whatever Apple wants to throw at you every year.
Yeah, and so you're kind of stuck with that at that point. So that's where we're at on that. That's just kind of giving you an update and letting you know about that Google fine. So I would say pay attention to it, at least as far as what's going to happen, especially in 90 days to see what Google does about it. Because I'm sure, even them, they don't want to pay $5 billion every 2 weeks. So let's get to the flying cars. Let's get to this news. And this is, I love it. I know it's probably not going to happen, but I still love it. And we've got 3 different ones we're going to talk about. One that is claiming they're going to be out maybe next year. And it's the Terrefugia. Is that how you say it?
Yeah. I assume. I've actually never heard that word pronounced out loud.
Well, then
Terrefugia.
Then I made it up. So it's Terrefugia. That's how you say it. So Terrefugia is a company, we've known about them for years, in that they've been one of the companies advocating for the kind of hybrid plane car where the wings fold up, one of those ones where you can drive it around on the streets, the wings fold up, and then you go to the local airport, the wings fold down, and you just fly off. I love this idea. I want one so bad. And it's called the TFX, and they're claiming now that they may be able to have this out to market next year. So my question, I guess, number one, do you want one? Would you fly in one?
I think that question is a no-brainer. Of course, everybody wants a flying car.
I would think.
I feel like at this point they're still a little impractical.
Yeah.
The good news is they're making them as vertical takeoff and landing vehicles, so you don't need a runway. Because that's the huge thing. Like, if you have to drive it to the airport and taxi on there and share this small hunk of runway with everybody else who has a flying car, it's going to be less convenient than just driving, right? But because it can take off from the ground anywhere and land anywhere, that's definitely the direction this whole flying car thing needs to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty exciting because Terrefugia is, like you said, they've been doing this for years. They're probably the furthest along of any of these companies that I've seen so far.
Yeah, I think there's an article on our site from like 2014 talking about it. I mean, it's
and that was when they announced like the first like concept, and like then they've building prototypes over the past few years, and now it says they're gonna release it next year, huh?
They say, they'll put it out in 2019.
Is there a price on that? It's probably going to cost as much as like a really high-end Lambo.
Probably. I'll take a look and see if we've got a price on there. I believe that eventually they want it to be the price of like a fancy SUV, but I'm sure that's years away.
Everybody wants their crazy flying car to be cheap, but then you have to produce it at scale and get enough people buying it in order to make that possible.
But not only that, it's just not going to happen because of regulations.
Yeah,
and the problem is that there's all kind of like what happened with Facebook a couple months ago. Zuckerberg went to Congress, and you could tell that these people did not understand how the internet works. Basically. So this is going to happen with this. We have the technology. We have the technology, but lawmakers are just not going to do anything to make it happen legally, like to have runways in the sky or whatever.
Just the concept alone is going to be mind-boggling to them. Yeah.
Like we will have them, for sure. I'm sure there's a bunch already that are made, and we've been hearing about flying cars for quite a while. But we're just not going to see them because it's going to be a mess. figuring out how they're gonna work, and if people are gonna be like, oh yeah, I live in a building just because I don't want neighbors or something, and there's a flying car just like texting by in front of you on the 10th floor. Like, yeah, it's gonna be a mess.
Yeah, there's gonna be still a lot of problems to be solved on the legal side of things. You've got to get, like, for air traffic control is a huge part of it.
That's true.
Like, if there's going to be suddenly a bunch of flying cars in the air, we got to figure out a way to keep them from crashing into each other. And it's like, that's especially problematic if they're going to be self-flying, which seems to be where everybody's moving towards.
Yeah.
Like,
right now, they're saying you have to have a pilot's license.
Okay, so that's the big difference. And I think usually when you hear these companies call them a self-driving car, or not a self-driving car, a flying car, that means you pilot it yourself. If they call it a flying taxi, it flies you.
Okay.
Generally speaking, like I don't think there are any like rules or conventions on this, but that seems to be how it works. Like Uber calls theirs a self-driving taxi because you don't have to fly it at all.
Okay.
And that gets around those regulations. That way you don't have to have a pilot's license. But then that's, a whole nother can of worms, because then the self-piloting software has to be tested, and they have the FAA doesn't even have standards for testing those kinds of things established. So there's just a mountain of paperwork and bureaucracy standing between these prototypes and these awesome things that we have built and actually using them in the real world.
I wonder if this whole thing about it being on sale in 2019 is maybe somewhere else. Another country that will let them test this stuff out.
Could be.
And try it out. Because, I mean, there's a bunch of countries. I mean, and the more you talk about this with regulations, I mean, we don't even have drone regulations worked out. We can't even do delivery drones yet. It's a good point. But other countries are testing all of that out.
I think one place where it could work is city-states like Singapore or like Qatar, where it's
Hong
way
Kong or
easier. The population is not as massive, and they don't have like a huge land to regulate.
Right.
It's just kind of like a bit easier.
Well, there's that one, and now the other one that I wanted to talk about. So there's three of these, and then we're going to get into talking about some a VR game, which the idea I think is amazing and also horrifying. But we'll talk about that here in a second. But this other one, potential flying car, I'll say, is the Blackfly, and that's the name of the product, by Opener. And this one is crazy looking. And I know for you, those of you listening to the podcast, just go to digitaltrends.com and you can take a look at this. Just type in Blackfly. It looks like a UFO. It's a powered by a whole bunch of propellers. It'll lift straight off the ground. You can go completely vertical with it, and it's just one of the weirdest looking things I've ever seen. Like, have you done a lot with this, Drew? I mean, how much do you know about these ones?
Not a ton. Blackfly. So, like, these guys kind of came out of stealth mode pretty recently. Like, nobody had really heard of them until, a few months ago. And they have obviously, as you can see, like a pretty polished working version. Yeah. They show it like hovering over water, and then and this one's in kind of this weird like gray area. They say that you do pilot it, but it's ridiculously simplified. So it does all the stabilization and stuff. It pretty much handles itself. You just have like a little thumbstick
go
joystick.
This way.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it's basically like being in a video game.
Okay.
But I'm still not sure if you need a pilot's license to fly the thing, or And once again, it's probably not going to be like legal in the skies for ages. But like just the fact that we're finally catching up with our imaginations on this whole flying cars thing. Like, we're finally at that point where we can actually build these things that we've been writing about in science fiction books for years. It's just really cool. And to see so many of them popping up lately, I think it's exciting, because it shows that we're like trending more toward this becoming an actual thing now. Like, we might actually see this in our lifetimes.
I think we will see this, something like this, because they're trying to categorize it as an ultralight, and which you still have to get an FAA private pilot license, or you have to pass some kind of an exam to fly the thing. But I mean, I could see this, especially someplace with open air, California, somewhere like that, where you can. I wouldn't see it in a city. I can't see them being allowed there. But I could see this being used as like a recreational device. Totally. Something like that. I don't know. Juliana, would you get in it?
Or maybe, yeah.
Yeah? Yeah. You'd fly in this thing?
Yeah, it kind of looked like a roller coaster a bit.
Let's see. It's being asked at Brian from the live chat, hey man, was that real video and not computer graphics?
That was totally real
video. That's real. Yeah, that's their prototype video that they've shown. I guess it can travel distances up to 25 miles and reach a top speed of 62 miles an hour. They also have a I guess, a supercharging option where you can charge the battery in less than a half hour. So it's not for long distances for sure. But man, that would be fun. That would be fun to take out like over the Coast Range or something. Okay, yeah, I want one. All right, next, and then the final one I have is the big manufacturers who are getting into this. Whether this will happen or not, I don't know. But their prototype images look good, and it's Aston Martin was the one I snagged, which was their flying concept that they have. I know you were talking about Aston, or who are you?
So Aston Martin and Rolls-Royce.
Rolls-Royce, that was
came
it.
Out.
Yeah. So Aston Martin, of all people, trying to come up with their own flying concept vehicle.
Certainly looks cooler than the other ones.
Oh, it looks cool
because it's Aston Martin,
right?
Looks a bit like a space.
How much you want to bet that this thing shows up in the next Bond movie?
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, it's a very slick looking images they have, but I don't know how far away they are from actually putting something out. They're saying their tentative plan. Let's see. Oh well, that's as Uber and Airbus is planning between 2020 and 2030. Okay, yeah, that's a broad range there for some
also
time.
Maybe never.
Yeah, or not. So that's what we're looking at for that. So Aston Martin and Rolls-Royce, some of the bigger companies are still trying to do this as well. Everybody's trying to. I think it'll take whoever has the most money to push through the regulation probably will end up being the ones that get it through. So maybe Uber.
Yeah, my money's on Uber.
Yeah. Probably. So that's what we're looking at with that. So the final thing I want to talk about is going back to virtual reality, which is kind of I don't think it's ever really taken off the way we all wanted it to. But there is an interesting idea when it comes to gaming, and this is a specific game that is out right now that's trying to up the ante on it. And this is one thing I've actually tried out several horror games with virtual reality. I feel like those are the best ones, the most suited to it.
Totally agreed.
Walking through a haunted house or whatever, and there's a crazy clown demon chasing you. I got stuff that works. It works. This one is a game, and I'm getting the name of the game here pulled up. It's called, I believe, Good Hill. I'll pull it up. But what they're trying to do is actually up the ante in that some people may not get scared when you're watching or when you're playing the game. They want to attach a biometric heart monitor so that it's called Bring to Light. So if you're not scared enough, they will up it. They will make you terrified, and they can actually monitor and tell how scared you are. What do you think about this idea? Would you do it?
Okay. I hate scary movies. So I don't sleep for like a month. No, I won't. I will not. It will terrify me forever.
I would definitely do it. And I'm really jumpy, so I feel like I would probably trick it anyway. But I would try it out.
I'm with you. I would do it. Like, I do hate scary movies, mostly just because the acting and the stories always suck. Mm-hmm. But I love scary video games, man. I remember growing up playing like the first Resident Evil games, just playing them in a dark room all by myself. It was the best thing ever. It was terrifying.
Yeah.
This seems like, it's taking it to the next level. Like, oh, you're not scared right now?
Yeah.
Let's turn the dial up to 11.
It's VR.
Yeah.
So virtual it makes it like even more terrifying. Yeah. Like we were in Las Vegas in that zero latency thing, remember?
Yeah, that's right.
And remember the bridge?
So for those of you guys who are listening, we went to Las Vegas. We were there for CES, and we went to this giant room scale VR demo called Zero Latency, and we played this game. And like, you can walk around in basically an empty warehouse, and you have a battery pack on your back, you have VR on your face, headphones on your ears, and we were playing this game where you shoot at aliens and basically storm through an abandoned space station, and Juliana was terrified at one point because we came up out of like an elevator, or obviously we're still just standing in a room, but it's totally screwing with your perceptions and stuff. So we all huddle in this elevator, and the doors open, and there's just this tiny narrow pathway that we have to walk over, and you look down and you get vertigo like right away.
Yeah, it's like you're really
and you had to like
there.
look around and shoot at things while you're standing on this, and if you fell off, then it would your character would
you
die.
Actually feel like if you're gonna fall, you're gonna like die because it's like you're really there.
So yeah,
I have problems with heights. I don't know.
I was just like making these awkward sounds, and Drew could not handle it. It was just like
I was dying. Yeah, I'm sorry. But yeah, I mean, that kind of just goes to show you that like VR really has like a lot of potential for scaring the bejesus out of you.
I think that's where it's got to go.
But at the same time, like, I don't want it to go too far. You remember that episode of Black Mirror?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
if you guys haven't seen that episode of Black Mirror, it's one of the scariest ones that I think they have. But the idea is, the same thing as this, but taken to an extreme. So it can read your thoughts and your memories and then figure out the best way to scare you. And that's kind of like this to me.
That's on the way.
This is the baby steps towards that. And that episode did not end well.
We're just going to implant this right in your brain and just, Ooh, yeah.
But hell yeah, I want to play it though.
Yeah, I want to try it. It's being asked, will it tone down if you're too scared? I'm guessing maybe. And also, Brian says, oh, no, thank you. I swear that'll probably cause PTSD in some people. Well, yeah, they probably shouldn't be playing the game then at that point.
Definitely going to need to put some warnings on
that one. Yeah, there's a lot of waivers that I'm sure you'll have to sign before you do that. But that's one of the things they're trying out virtual reality. So I think it's a neat idea that could go wrong in a lot of ways. Again, though, I'll try it. I'll try it out. So you can read all about that at Digital Trends, along with everything else that we've been talking about today. And again, this is Trends with Benefits, and we are live every Thursday at 2:30 p.m. Pacific, talking about whatever the topics of the week are. We love going live with everybody who's watching so we can hear your comments and questions. But also, we are a podcast. And most importantly, hit subscribe on the podcast button to make sure you get this episode every week. Tomorrow, we'll be live at 2 p.m., or I keep forgetting, noon, 12 Pacific, with Between the Streams to talk about movies and entertainment. So check us out then. And thanks for watching. We'll be back next week with another episode. Sweet.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice.